My, oh my, we are 1 month removed from playoff hockey, and could you tell what gave it away? The Leafs giving up 5 unanswered to the third worst team in the league? All right, fair enough. But what a week it was. We had refs jumping into pucks like fish out of water as just an odd week for the officials all around, really. We had a congas anthem. Oh, say, can you see? There were cup checks, cups on the ice, soccer, hockey hybrids, some unbelievable goals this week. I mean, seriously, mid-air tic-tac-toe, what? We had huge hits, emotions running hot, even amongst teammates, a freaking goalie fight? Well, we'll talk about it. Some awesome sound bites.
Kovacevic just needs to play better. That would help.
Give him the puck, give him the puck, give him the puck.
Is that what it is?
Look like it.
Okay. I don't know. No comment.
Mr. Quadzilla, and what a frame he's got on him.
Yeah, he looked up his mustache today. I just wasn't feeling it, so.
Big Sexy losing it right there.
He wasn't always open, but...
And much more, so let's get to it. For the notables, we'll start with the big rig Patrick Maroon.
Sometimes you got to give up everything you know and everything you dreamed of your whole life.
Formally announcing his retirement in St. Louis, his hometown, where he got his 96th bout in that game, got a standing O from a crowd he won a cup for, and yeah, 14 seasons in the league, well over 800 games. He'll always be known as a 3-time, 3 straight Stanley Cup champ.
I want to thank the St. Louis Blues organization for really making this night really special for me and my family.
Moving on, we saw Crosby net his 24th of the year, scoring his 1,670th point against the Islanders to officially pass Wayne Gretzky for 4th most points all time with a single franchise. And Sid's been on a tear. Most points in the league since the Four Nations break. This one was just nasty. Leads the league in 5-on-5 points for the whole season and is now just 2 points shy of breaking Gretzky's 19 consecutive point per game seasons record, all at 37. Pretty damn impressive. But you can't speak of records without bringing up the Great 8. He, of course, scored 888 against Philly this week, just 7 away from breaking the all-time goals record now. And how insane is it that we're seeing these two gray-haired goats doing this all around the same time? As with this goal, Ovi recorded his 15th 35-goal season. That is the most ever. And here is his longtime teammate Nicholas Backstrom's biggest takeaway.
Biggest takeaway was probably explaining to him that he wasn't always open, but...
And lastly, with the Sharks becoming the first team officially eliminated from the playoffs last week, it was the Capitals who became the first team to clinch a playoff spot this week. But with all that out of the way, let's get to the nasty. And as has been the case lately, it was nasty.
Big Sexy losing it right there. That's some frustration.
That came in Nashville after McCarren laid a huge hit on Buchnevich. Only problem, he never touched the puck. Called a major for interference, and yeah, I guess he didn't agree. But nonetheless, Tucker would then catch Evangelista later in this one. Almost a worse hit in my opinion, but this only got 2 minutes, which set the stage for their second meeting of the week. And shocker, it was a feisty one. Not 9 minutes in, we had Walker and LaRue drop him. Marchessault then got hit by Toropchenko late in the period, didn't like it, so he immediately makes a beeline for Broberg, drilled him, and yeah, everyone came together. But finally, Blankenburg, Klipp, Thomas at center ice saw Kessel and Bolduc pair up for the 1-2 cross-check, a third for good measure, as good night, he got absolutely mauled. That cross-check, though, got Bolduc a misconduct and a max fine, as this game saw 3 game misconducts. It was a good old time. Over in Winnipeg, we saw Clifton absolutely nail Nino Niederreiter. Oof, that one had to hurt. And this was insane. Josh Anderson had Shane Pinto's skate go right into his Achilles, as that could have been so bad. But
First time in his career that Josh Anderson wore cut-resistant socks.
What are the odds? But speaking of injuries, we saw Jarvis go hard into the boards in LA, looked real rough as he's day-to-day, and then some big names out right now. Draisaitl, McDavid, both not expected to play for at least another week. Pettersson in Vancouver also out. And then this one last night was just a bad one. Lilleberg giving Hurdle a little extra as he went hard into the boards. He's still being evaluated, but did not look good and and Cassidy did not like it at all, calling the hit senseless. But let's get back to the hits. Murphy in Chicago touched the puck just so he could sit down Isamont. I love it. We saw Rempe keeping the Trouba elbow alive for New York. Nasty, and no one is safe when he's around. Linesman gets secondhand benched over here. But even at practice, we saw guys going at it this week. Pizzetta and Jackeye nearly getting into a dust-up as they were barking at each other.
Yeah, he looked up his mustache today. I just wasn't feeling it, so that's we started going at it and all. Probably grab dinner tonight. It's all part of the game.
Teammates, you say? This was brutal. Abbey Murphy with a ridiculous hit on Caroline Harvey. Puck nowhere in sight as Harvey then later in the game got revenge on Murphy. And yeah, Team USA teammates right there. But the big one this week was the goalies going at it. Kings, Bruins, and we saw things boil over a bit. Peak hitting Turcotte, then Kusnedinov with a little shove here. Peak and Janot came together, and finally, after Kusnedinov was shoved into Kuemper, it set things off. Kuemper ripping his bucket off. He's like, what the heck, dude? Swayman, though, I have a goalie stick. Here's an invitation to pick on someone your own size. Kuemper RSVPs, and oh my, gear comes off, and the freaking Zebras said no.
Why?
We were so close, but yet so far away.
You guys appreciate that Jeremy stuck up for Lucinino?
Is that what it is?
Look like it.
Okay. I don't know. No comment.
Oh, that's kind of awkward. But to finish things off, Kiefer Sherwood broke the NHL season record for hits with 384, and that right there was it. A little underwhelming, but it did score, and he is officially the new leader. But with that, let's get through some quick ones, and I think you're going to want to get through this quick. Yes, that is a congas anthem in Nashville.
Once we recovered from that, we were back to our game, which was good.
Then, an odd week for the officials. The linesman in Montreal calling icing here despite it being Montreal who fired it into their own zone. It was them. In Ottawa, this one was great. Also, the linesman this time getting tripped up by Highmore, but he points at his man and he's got a job to do, folks. That's icing. Even chirping while he's down. Good stuff. But not so good was this ridiculous sequence in Toronto. On the PK, Benoit clearing it and Kelly Sutherland toe-picking dove right into the puck as you can't even make it up. It was on the change, and so Lorentz ends up getting to it first and he scores. What's worse, this was a game winner. What's even worse, this wasn't the first time it happened to the Avs, as against Dallas, similar deal. Hits the ref, Dallas pounces, hints for Robertson, and they scored. Yikes. Apparently nowhere to go for the officials this week, as in Dallas, Sorelli caught the ref in the nether regions, and he's a good guy, checking in on him. But speaking of the nether regions, Miller got a cup check from Ball, no pun intended, and in the OHL, there was a cup on the ice. Have you ever seen this? The linesman had to go grab it with a towel and deliver it. Now, you may have seen Fabian Sutherland deadlift 600 pounds, but with Brady asked about it, I thought this was pretty funny.
Mr. Quadzilla, and what a frame he's got on him.
We also found out this week that Simone Benoit travels with his own espresso machine. What dedication. Speaking of dedication, this was 20 years ago. These boys supporting Ovechkin, and this week they were back. Then in St. Louis, this was crazy. Nathan Walker going at it with Vlasic, casually spitting out his tooth. He drops it off at the bench and comes right back out. And here's, that's a little awkward. Braun is now month to month simply from watching this clip. Respect. Wonder if he happened to catch this game by chance. Maybe he learned a thing or two. Anyway, here's Sid and Gino, and many don't know this. They are actual shape-shifting penguins. So the more you know. This week we seem to get a Sauger hockey hybrid. Korpisalo booting the puck, then Marner heading the puck as the two just went soccer style out there. And speaking of trying another sport, the Sabres in Utah took a lap on an Olympic oval, which they may want to stick to because hockey doesn't appear to be working out. Down a goal, the goalie pulled. They got what they needed, a penalty, and all they had to do was
give him the puck, give him the puck, give him the puck.
yeah, had they done so, this 6-on-5 would have become a 6-on-4, and instead, they passed it back off the boards and it went into their own net. It is not often you see a guy take a penalty, be the last to touch it, and end up being credited with a goal on the same sequence. But welcome to Sabres hockey, and while we're here, let me introduce you to the Maple Leafs defense. Sorry, I can't... here it is. It's the Leafs up 2 against Nashville, who with the third worst record in the league came back and scored 5 unanswered against Toronto, as again, you just know the playoffs are around the corner. Then let's do a welcome to Devils hockey, where Kovacevic, who has had a few blunders as of late, delay of game penalties especially, found himself thrown under a bus by his own coach.
Kovacevic just mentioned to us that he thinks the team kind of needs to have that playoff mentality.
Kovacevic just needs to play better. That would help. Yeah.
And lastly, let me welcome you into my nightmares. Absolutely terrifying. On the topic of mascots, Will Smith in San Jose just about killed Sharky this week.
Oh my God.
I think he got knocked into an alternate universe where the goalie does the Birdsally and Kuznetsov doesn't do the crawling penalty shot. What world is this? Now, I actually love this. And so with that, let's get to the goalies, who again were feisty this week, as we already saw, but during a Rangers practice, Igor getting one low was not happy, and he wasn't happy all week. Chirping with Anderson from Calgary, "You're not worth it," before straight up tackling Sherwood playing against the Canucks. Dude is wound tight these days. Headed overseas to the Swedish Hockey League, we saw Moodo's Eriksson X say, you can't change here. I don't think so. But beyond the feistiness, we did see some great stops as well. Nedeljkovic on Kunin with a beauty, spinning and getting the blocker down. Wow. I also just love this overhead shot. Then to Smith against Tampa, Beat said, "I'm just going to kick it," as he had that left pad working overtime. Some great stops. And also working overtime was Pickard from the bench, flashing some leather, says, "I'm not even playing, boys." Gustafsson in Minnesota was completely bailed out by John Merrill, saving a surefire goal, about as close as it gets. Just kidding. This was as close as it gets. Stars, Flyers, and Sam Ersson stopping Duchesne gets just a piece of it with the pad, bailed out by Andre, and I mean literal millimeters, as this was deemed no goal. Insane. In overtime though, are we doing this again? Stay in your net! Net! Oh my goodness, Ellie, what a stop. Just getting there in time. Okay, all right. I will spare you, but you deserved it. No, I'm kidding. He's playing well overall. But with that, let's round things out with the goals of the week, starting with one of the craziest goals I have ever seen. The Blues with an in-the-air tic-tac-toe, and have you ever seen anything like it? Wow. In San Jose, this was a strange one. Short-handed, Eklund was tripped up, went into the net with the puck, and it was deemed a goal. What? They took a look at it, and indeed, there was continuation of the puck towards the net, and this one stood. Over in the PWHL, we got our first ever Michigan in the league, Abbey Rock making some history. Nice. And sticking with the ladies, back to the Frozen Four championship game, Wisconsin pushing late would come so close, but Wheeler covering the puck with her hand meant we got a penalty shot. All right, who wants it? Right here, coach. Kirsten Sims throws up her hands, and she shows her hands like butter to the forehand and ties the game with 19 seconds on the clock. So clutch. I kind of feel like the puck went backwards here, but I don't know. Beautiful goal anyway. And in Calgary, Anderson wide open would score, as it's the return of the stare down. We had McDavid against Utah. Just wow. That is another kind of special. Scores with just 4 seconds on the clock, but check out the touch from from Bouchard to set this up. It's a set play, and it is tasty. As was this one in Vancouver. Sherwood with a nice touch to set up Omen backdoor. Pretty stuff. Lane Hudson in Montreal gave us a snipe show, walks it down the wall, rips it post and in. Electric stuff. Then in Pittsburgh, this was a classic. Sidney Crosby redirect for his 25th of the year. So nice. In St. Louis, it was Bolduc shot on net, and it's Quinn Hughes. Pretty redirect. Wait, that's on his own net. Or off. All right. In New York, he was breaking ankles, okay? Slinging pucks, and we had Joshua finishing it off. And lastly, to tie things up, this was just an awesome story this week. Brendan Gallagher lost his mother to brain cancer earlier this month, and we saw him score this goal days later where he tapped his chest. But this week, Twitter user LucyLou08 shared this online, saying she felt the Hockey Fights cancer jersey she had received back in 2022 belonged to Brendan. He responded, proposing a jersey swap during their last home game of the season as just a great make you believe in humanity for a moment type of story. But yeah, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it very much, and I'll see you in the next one.